Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Success Life Live. And it's Friday, so it's time for Fun Friend Friday. If you're watching live, stop in, say hello, give a shout out, and hit the share. And if you're watching in replay, it's really important that I know you stopped in. So replay people, hashtag replay what I learned, all right? So we're going to get started here in just a moment with Fun Friend Friday. Good morning, Miss Marie. Good morning, Miss Gina. I'll be bringing you here in a minute. Good morning, Miss Toomey. So it was funny the other day, I was talking to somebody and they said, how do you do that? Good morning, Mike. So proud of you from last night. How do you do this Facebook Live thing? What gives you the ability? They're stuck. They're frozen. They're locked. And maybe part of my mistake is not sharing some of the behind the scenes fear and focus and fueling up that I have to do. And so one of the things that I do, especially before Fun Friend Friday, is I just sit here and I think and I breathe into it. And one of the songs that I call into my space, some of you may or may not know it. It's I Surrender All. By William McDowell. And the reason I love that song is because really I surrender this space. I surrender this Facebook Live. I surrender this moment, not for me and not for my fame and fortune. Still waiting, by the way. But I know that there are people that will be impacted, people that will be changed, people that will be tuned in at a level that I'm not even consciously aware of. And so in order for that to happen, I have to surrender the agenda. I have to surrender my desires. I have to surrender what I want out of it and simply open the space for people to come in. So if you're doing Facebook Lives or want to do Facebook Lives or do interviews or connect to other people through this social media, get the I Surrender song. Listen to it, play to it. And pretty soon this gets a lot easier because at the end of the day, somebody said, once it's on the internet, it's there forever. I can't fix it. I can't change it. I can only step into it at my highest and best. So one of the little behind the scenes techniques that makes doing Fun Friend Friday easy. The other thing that makes it super easy is when you have amazing guests that are passionate and influencers and creators and changers in the world. And you just want to get up next to them and you use this thing called Fun Friend Friday, it's an excuse. So that's what I'm doing today. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Julia. Saw a couple other people take a moment, say hello, step in. We're going to get started here. I'm going to go look for Miss Gina in just a minute, but we'll just go ahead and give it one moment. All right, got to shut it down or Facebook will. I think that is so wrong. But anyhow, let me go find my friend Gina, and while I'm doing that, y'all hit share it out. Oh, there she is. She's right on the top of the list. How much easier. Gina makes everything just like her. She's just magical. She's being added. Good morning, Gail. Guess who I got in the line? There she is.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, I'm just, okay, I'm giggly. Is that stupid or is that okay?
It's okay, and I'm appreciative. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm so glad. And, first off, you're good people because you got an Eric in your world.
Yes, I got two Erics now. I have two Erics. I had a baby.
Yes, I thought it was cute because the baby shower balloons and and I was like, oh, they're having a party for me. Where's my infant? So this officially makes you my sister because two of my sisters out of four married Erics.
Wow.
And I was like, you just couldn't get enough of me. You had to go find one of your own.
That's funny. Well, there's something about the name Eric, I think it means like kingly or like a leader. It's a strong name. So yeah, and Gina means queen. So, it goes together.
I always hated growing up because I couldn't have a nickname. Like Roberts can be Bob or Bobby or, but Eric is Eric. You can't even try and fake the Rick part of Eric.
Yeah.
Like Rick. Who spells Rick? R-I-C. So anyway, I am so glad to have you here this morning. Everybody, good morning. Meet my guest, Gina Watts. Now, your title is official youth director for the John Maxwell team.
Yes, it is.
And one of your other titles that I think you're a little bit more proud of, but maybe just like by a hair, is mom.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I'm a wife. I'm a mother of a 20-year-old and a 4-month-old. Well, he'll be 5 months on Sunday. So 5-month-old and a 20-year-old. That's a whole nother podcast. Like that's a whole nother Facebook Live show.
So
To
actually,
talk about that.
you did an amazing is it I am my mother or I am your mother?
Oh
Excuse me.
yeah, yeah, I am your mother. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
That was amazing, and I'm going to share it with you guys later. It was amazing. This is starting too early.
Thank you, Eric.
You were 16?
I was 18, but yeah,
18.
I was
Good.
still in school. I was a senior in high school, and I found out that I was pregnant. I was like 4 months along. Don't ask how I got that far along, and I didn't know.
I
Like
think
I
as
was
a
like,
senior in high school, you were distracted. We'll just say
yeah.
that.
I mean, you're naive, and sometimes just bodily functions don't go the way they're supposed to. So, but I believe that was divine. The Lord had a purpose for my Christian. And so I had Christian the summer after I graduated high school. And yeah, I mean, my life with him was me growing up while raising him. And he's still alive. Praise God. He's still I didn't hurt him too bad. He's actually a very wonderful young man. I'm super proud of him. And he the most important thing that he has, quality and skill he has that I'm proud of, that I was able to instill in him, is a heart for service. He sees people in need and he wants to help them. He's gone on trips just to find people who are without, some folks that are in our homeless community, and just is like, hey mom, where would I find these folks? And he just wants to serve them. So if I did everything else wrong, that's one thing I can say I'm proud of that I did right. And then decided to start over. So I have
So,
a 5 month old.
but I don't. So here's my question, and I want to sort of go there and then go on to developing youth leaders in our current
Yeah.
generation, because I know that's your passion and your heart. But you're 18. I'm
Yeah.
pregnant. Got this kid going on the way. Was supposed to go off to college. Was a star athlete in my high school. Probably could have a college, some kind of scholarship involvement in athletics. Have a really normal life if only this thing hadn't come along to interrupt it.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you avoid buying into the, oh, you know what, just dump it with granny, go on with your life? How did you avoid all of those people that culturally will say, you know what, it's not really your responsibility, you made a mistake? Because when I listen to the story of I Am Your Mother and the other stories that I know about you, you were full-time mom, full-time working, full-time student. How did
Yeah.
you not, I mean, like, where did that come from?
You know what? I'm stubborn. Like honestly, like I mean, and it comes from like kind of a funky place, right? But what I'll tell you is that I didn't have everybody. Everybody didn't have my back when I got pregnant. I was the first one in my family to really be a teen parent. And so we weren't used to dealing with this thing, right? And so I was supposed to go away to school. I was accepted to two universities, and I had academic scholarships, and I was ready to go. I actually had my roommate Tony at one school and my roommate Carrie at the other school, and I'm still very close friends with both of them. And I find out I'm pregnant, and so really what happened is like I had a hard time with some of my family, and I had a hard time with some of my friends. Like some of my friends' parents even were like, oh, don't be around Gina because she's pregnant and
So
she must be
she's one of
doing
those
some things.
girls.
Exactly. And they had known me my whole life. You know what I mean? I was just dumb. Like that's the biggest thing I can say is like I just didn't know what I was doing. And so
So yes, you
and
can get pregnant if it's a Monday.
yep, serious, basically. So anyway, so I had, and here's the thing too, to back up. My son's father, we had been friends since we were in fourth grade. So like we had, it wasn't like I just randomly met someone. I mean, there was just so many components to the story. And so back to like my stubbornness, I had enough people tell me that I couldn't still go to school. I had enough people tell me that I wasn't going to be a good mom. I had enough people tell me that I threw away my future. And so because I'm built like that, I was like, oh, I'm going to show you that I can do all these things. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is I didn't do anything alone, because we is greater than me. And so I'm so grateful that I had the mom that I have. And she's still, with us today. And she's still my cheerleader and my rock. And my mom calls me all the time and will tell me that, I'm a world changer and history maker, and I'm 39 years old. So I had that mother in my life. I had that woman in my life who made a way for me to be able to do all of those things full time, and Christian to still turn out as good as he did. So I didn't do anything by myself. And then I had my aunt and my uncle who lived next door to my mom. So if Christian wasn't with my mom or with me, then he was with them. And then eventually he also started to spend some time at my dad's. So yeah, I mean, I had a village. I had a village.
So, but I think that really speaks into, if you have a dream, surround yourself with people that are willing to play along in the law of trade-offs. Because your mom could have been like, baby girl,
oh yeah,
my time.
Yep. Yeah.
My girls, we're going on wine tours. We're going to
Yes.
And your
yes.
aunts and uncles could have been like, we got our own problems. Take care of it. But you found
yes.
people that would say, you know what? This isn't the direction we want to go, but we can support this dream. We can support this stubbornness because we see that it's to a higher and bigger purpose. And I think that so often our stubbornness can isolate us.
Yeah.
So how do you move from stubbornness, isolation to stubbornness of seeking help?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good one. That's like worth a book. Seriously, that question.
I do this all the time, and there's a million books to find like that.
So I think honestly, that I'm a person of faith, and I think it's just God's favor in my life. I think that He used the best parts of me and even the worst parts of me, and was able to allow me to channel it so that Christian could be who he's called to be. I know that my children are called to be great men. Because and for several reasons, but one reason for both of them is they both were not supposed to be here for various circumstances, and when you have a call on your life that you start out not supposed to be in this world, and you still are here, and the Lord still shows favor on your life, like they're supposed to be here. So some of it is that the Lord just had a purpose for my children, that He needed me to get it all the way right so that they can be here, right? And then I also think, I had to be obedient, right? And I had to submit. And I would say that I've gone through several different phases of submission. And it wasn't always easy, but like the first phase of submission was me realizing that, yes, I'm stubborn, and yes, I can do great things, and yes, I can get all these awards and accolades, but what does it say about who I am as a person and who I'm called to be? And so I made a very intentional decision very early on. I was probably about 22, 23, and I was starting to get a lot of awards, because I was like this young teen mom, and I was in college, and I was working, and so I, like, probably about 19, I started to get award after award after award after award for the work I was doing. And I realized I was collecting like a box of awards, basically, and not to be disrespectful to the people who blessed me with those awards, but they stayed in boxes because I needed that space to remain humble. I needed that space for my child to not feel like it's about awards or about accolades, that it's about serving and adding value to people. And so I think that submission, that obedient spirit that started at that point, has allowed me to take that stubbornness and channel it into something for the good.
I love that. I want to just do a quick, there's something rubbing against your mic. So if
oh, I'm sorry.
Might be your shirt collar or something.
Yep,
and you have such wisdom, I don't want it all.
Yeah. All right. I'll be mindful of that.
Cool. Thank you. So here's what I find really fascinating, and those people here in the room that know Gina, she is not a quiet woman. She is not a small person in a big room. She is kind of, you're scary. I'm just going to say, you can be scary when you set a course. But yet, you say your number one quality is your ability to be submissive.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yep.
that kind of like an interesting contrast that somebody that's so bold, that's so strong, that is now leading thousands of people to impact youth, finds her number one quality to be submission.
Yeah. It's a requirement. It's a requirement to because it's so much bigger. My calling and the work that I do, whether it's for the John Maxwell team or the work that I'm doing with Vineyard Columbus in Columbus, Ohio, or if I'm contracted out to do some other work, it's so much bigger than me. It's so
And
much bigger than me.
and so there's a parallel. My child was called into something greater. And I love that image. I mean, I've never heard that image in my head before, that my behavior is either going to clear the path or block the path for that
Say
something
it.
greater.
Mm-hmm.
My poor child's been running hurdles because, I'm making the mistakes that you were making when you were 20. I love that idea that I can either clear the path, or because of my ego, because of my inability to submit, because of all of meanness, Ericness, I could hinder, never stop, but I could hinder what he was called in to be.
Yes. And it's that simple. It sounds like, I mean, it's hard. It's hard in execution, right? But it's that simple. It's we have to
So,
clear the path.
so as a parent, I'm going to make you go to parent mode, then I'll make you go to board director, whatever mode.
Yeah.
How do you, so I have like a vision of what I want my kid to be. I mean, what parent doesn't? How do
Right.
you release that vision so it doesn't become a path blocker? And there's another book.
Yeah, there is. I
Clearing your
was gonna
child's
say that.
pathway.
I would say I'm living through that now, right? So let me give you an earlier example with Christian. So in Pennsylvania, and where we were living, he in 8th grade to 9th grade, you go from junior high to high school, and you have an opportunity to go to a technical school if you would like while you're in high school. So you can go to a vocational technical school as a part of your high school education. And he went and visited it. He loved it. Now, a little bit of history for those of you that don't know me. I taught at Penn State for 10 years as a full-time faculty member. And I was teaching there at that time. And so I had a thought about my child going to college, right? Like that's the path for him to go. But I also was experiencing people in a different way and knowing that college isn't for everyone. Like I genuinely believe that. I run several programs to help people identify their career path and saying that college isn't for everyone. So at that time, he was really interested in it. And ultimately, we decided to not go that route. But it wasn't because he had to go to college. It was because of other things in his life, like sports and scheduling. And there just wasn't a lot of flexibility there. And it was like, what battle do we fight right now? Long story short, that was probably the first time I had to like abandon my desires and beliefs for him and what he wanted to do and who he wants to be and what I thought he was supposed to do and supposed to be. And we're still going through that now. You know, Christian's a junior in college and we're still figuring out, everything step by step. But yeah, it's that's a journey. That's not a destination. That's a journey.
So to end with Christian in the best possible way, he is a all-star collegiate high jumper.
Yes, he's an
holds
all-American high.
Holds a school record and like several records.
Yeah, Christian just competed in the NCAA Division II Nationals for high jump for indoor track, and so he did very well and was able to get on the podium the first time in his the first time attending nationals in his career, and he's just one of those kids that like naturally comes to him. I mean, he's very disciplined and he practices, but he's just a natural athlete, and I'm so grateful that he has the discipline to see that through. So he is an All-American high jumper. Yep. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm
So,
proud of him.
Doing sort of the walk of shame your senior year.
Yeah. Yep.
To seeing
Yeah, because
yourself.
I was very pregnant. Graduation. I was very pregnant. So
Well,
yeah.
I think you said you graduated, went to your senior prom, and then went home and had the baby. Was on
Yep,
the
basically.
timeline. To be able to see him standing on a podium as not only a successful athlete but also a successful collegiate student.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yep.
that wouldn't have been possible had your stubbornness and your submission not followed through.
Yeah. True story.
So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations. And
Thank
now
you.
little Eric is on his way. So, it just gets better. We're scratching again.
Oh. I'm not sure what it is. I've moved my hair. All right.
Well, I'll do the same just to make you feel more comfortable. So through your arc of teaching at the university and being involved in multiple boards, you landed a position, not landed, you earned through grunt, sweat, and tears, and stepping in and saying, oh, I'll do that. And they're like, no, we don't need you to. And you saying, no, you don't understand. I got a bigger agenda. Let me do that. Which I love people that do that. It's like, no. Like, trust me, you ain't done with me. You now are the Director of Youth Services or Youth Empowerment through the John Maxwell team. How many kids have been impacted by your and the team's efforts?
Yeah, so in 2017, we launched the Global Youth Initiative, and we ask all John Maxwell team coaches to serve in their communities. And so we are nearly at 700,000 young people in 2 years.
So Global Youth Initiative kicks off next month.
It does.
Planning now. Your dream is 1 million, right?
Yes, 1 million kids.
What would it take to achieve that dream right now? Like I know that you have a C personality in you, that critical thinker. You've already calculated what you need to do and who you need to call into to hit that 1 million.
Yeah, honestly, so we have about 24,000 John Maxwell team members. And so if everybody committed to host one event, and even just spent time with, if everybody spent time with 100 kids, we definitely would reach it. But if everybody just raised their hand and even served 10 kids, we would be a lot closer.
So yeah, because I was thinking you got 2,400 times 10, that's 240,000. 700,
yeah.
You're just bumping it. So, and then again, we know that 2,400, we maybe have a 50% active rate or 60% active rate in this. Aside from the number or the award that will get put in the box, because you'll probably get some kind of plaque saying, yes, we hit 1 million kids. What is the story that came out of it that you were like, I didn't need 1 million, I just needed that one to stay?
Yeah. Believe it or not, it's not about the young people's lives that are changed. It's about the adults whose lives are changed.
Switching it up on us, folks.
Yeah. And I was so excited when you asked me to come and do this time with you, and we were going to talk about generational leadership and legacy building. I often find when I'm spending time with team members that they just believe that young people don't need them. They believe that they're either too old or too disconnected or don't have an ability to connect with young people. And I often remind them that there was a time in each of our lives where we wish we would have had just a little bit of these values and principles that we now have as adults a little bit younger. We wish we would have just been a little bit younger when we had those. And that we hold the keys to be able to help those young people with that, with reaching those goals a little bit sooner. And so, so the lives that are changed that bless me the most tend to be the adults, because they just realize, you know what, I can do this. I can serve them. I can add value to these young people, and I can help them reach their goals. And every April and every October, I'm flooded with stories about, Gina, thank you for pushing me. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for helping me to do this. And then in turn, if they have children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews, their relationships with them and their family change too, because now they've opened up to be able to serve young people well.
That's interesting because when we think of generational leadership from the title on the book kind of thing, we think of it as a push down.
Yeah.
Where I think the way you describe it is almost the youth pull us into our higher and better leadership abilities.
Yes, for sure. I do believe that. I do believe that young people can change the world and change our lives, but it starts with us making time for them, not vice versa. We need to make time for young people.
So, and Lord, I got too many kids in my life some days. They are so honest and they are so brutal that no matter how hard you rehearse, it's going to fall. like, do not show up thinking you're owning the room because you spent 20 hours in rehearsal. It's not going to work. Because you'll have some kid that raises his hand and asks a question that you were like so profoundly not ready for.
Not ready at all.
So as we prepare for Global Youth Initiative, and not everybody in this room is part of the John Maxwell team, and those that share it out may impact people that aren't part of the John Maxwell team. Let's sort of like, if you're not, here's another avenue. Here's another way. I know we got readers alert or leaders or readers coming.
Yep.
Another way that one adult could impact 10 kids in the next 10 days.
Yeah. Wow. I love that challenge. One adult impact 10 kids in the next 10 days. So one is like, and just to refer to leaders or readers, it's one of the initiatives we have within the Global Youth Initiative that like we're challenging team members to just get a book, to get one of John's books and sit with a group and read it. So that's one way. You know, there are several great books and resources written by wonderful people that you can connect with young people on. So John's book, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn for Kids, is perfect for young kids, like kindergartners, first grade, you know, probably all the way up to fourth grade. You could take that book and read it with a group of kids and talk to them about it. Like talk to them about the lessons in there, you know, about the importance of failing and failing forward. And so that's a great way, a simple, easy way to just raise your hand and to add value to young people. I think another thing too is just to let them be seen. You know, how often are we at a grocery store or at we're out shopping, or maybe we're at our own churches, or we're somewhere out in the community and we see young people. You know, I'm a person, my staff and my other job, they always laugh about it. I make everybody speak to me. I'm like, good morning, how are you? How is your day going? Like, it's a full conversation, every single person I walk past. What that does is that changes the culture. And it changes, and whether it's the culture of that immediate environment or that space you're in, or it's the culture of your organization or your church or your school, it changes the culture and it lets people know that they're seen and that you saw them. And so that's super important to me. My husband and I do it all the time. We'll be in a grocery store and be like, how are you doing today, young man? What's going on? What do you want to be? Like, we have full conversations. So
it's so funny because Melanie Massey, I think she just was in. I'm not sure if she's still here. It's hard
Hey, Mel.
Yeah, the artist extraordinaire. She's probably like can't move her hands after last week. So my child is in a special ed, contained classroom, et cetera, et cetera. We were called in as parents to have a day with kids. Well, have a day in the classroom. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. Like, that is the one environment. And I say this with all honesty that I just do not want to be in. Like, there's a kid that literally, love him. He has a trait, so he doesn't talk. But he steals everything that you set down. Like, if you have your phone, he's got it. If you set down your glasses, he's got it. And he won't give it back. And being me, I'm like ready to like club him to death to get my glasses back or whatever. And so I just didn't want to be in that environment. I just couldn't do it. I was like coming up with excuses. And Melanie said, you got to set the energy before you get there. You can't walk in with that energy. Like, dude, if that's how you're going to show up, don't show up.
Yeah.
Because you'll hurt your daughter more than if you just don't show up. So don't tell Melanie. I took her advice. I followed through. Now I'm in the classroom literally like once a week.
Wow, that's
awesome.
Not
every time do I connect with each kid, but like the kid that steals glasses now has 2 or 3 pair of my old ones in a box in his desk. So like, and so when I say this, it's we can connect with kids on the smallest, most like we think it's like nothing. Like this, one of the kids loves 10 apples up on top. You've probably read that 1,000
Yeah.
times, and you're getting ready to do it again. So when she says acknowledge and see someone, acknowledge and see kids, it doesn't have to be in this big stage production moment. It can really be taking a knee, getting down in front of them, going eye to eye and saying, why do you think that?
I, I'll tell you about about Eric. So little Eric's classroom, he's in daycare. And every morning, my husband and I, when we drop them off, we say hello to every single child in there. So, hi, Sam. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Benjamin. Hi, like every single one. So, what that does for them is it makes them feel safe. Now, the first week that we were dropping Eric off, 3 of the kids had tantrums every time we came into the room because we were new people, right? So they were like, who is this? Why are they in my space? And why are they dropping off that baby? Because Eric's the youngest. So that was disrupting their environment. And so we started saying hi to them, getting like eye level with them, which is pretty low because they're 18 months. But, like we're like, really spending time with them, change the complete environment of the room. Same thing with Christian's friends. Everybody wanted to stay over our house all the time, and that's because we had conversations. I'm like, hey, what's going on in school? How's your girlfriend? Why do you have a girlfriend? You don't need a girlfriend. Like all that stuff. So yeah. So I think when young people are seen, they respond differently. They behave differently. There's a level of accountability. Christian's friends all called me Miss Gina, or Miss Jones because I was before I was married. But they called all the other parents something different. Now, here's the thing. I do set that standard, right, of saying Miss Gina or Miss Jones, but it's the way they said it. They didn't say it reluctantly. They said it with appreciation for structure and order and respect. And yeah, I mean, they always wanted to be over our house and eat all my food. So.
So having 400 some foster care kids, our kids that always come through our home are like, does dinner always take this long the first night? Because it can be like an hour and a half. It literally. And they're like, because we eat in 10 minutes and then we hang out and talk for the next. And by the time they've been there for a week or so, they're like, why are we getting up so quick? Like they settle in. So going back to impacting 10 kids in 10 days through one adult, go in the classroom and read. Take 5 minutes and connect with your kids, classmates that come off the same school bus at eye level, and ask 2 or 3 questions, not how was your day, because every kid will answer fine or miserable, and then you're stuck. Go with what is the one thing you didn't expect to happen today? What is the one thing that surprised you today? Like, ask a question that requires a moment of thought on their part. Take the John Maxwell, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn book into the classroom and read it. I wish we had done, I'm putting a homework assignment on you, how to read to children. Because there's actually a skill and a technique of reading a book to kids versus some of us just read top to bottom. We really should have somebody do a video like that. I think Gloria Burgess would be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, she would. She would do it, for sure.
Yeah, because, I mean, when you read a book to a kid, you show the pictures, discuss who's in the picture, the characters, the quality, the emotions in the faces, and then you read the page. Yep. And then you show the picture. Because they don't have contextual or content related that is non-visual sometimes in the early age groups.
And you can also allow them space to ask questions depending on how many kids are in the room. Sometimes we get into a rush to like get through the story, but like that's a part of the story and them processing it is to allow them to ask questions.
Yeah, if you only read page 1 and it sparks a conversation that lasts 30 minutes, your job has just been even amplified. So, can you give me the 5 things all leaders do for kids? Oh, she's creating a coloring sheet. So 5 things You've been
Yeah.
challenged by Melanie Massey. 5 things
Okay.
all leaders do for kids. So modeling.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I got the
Modeling
first one. You
positive.
have to do the second one. This is going to be a challenge.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So now you got me like moving my phone. I sat
Look
up.
at her.
I'm
She's
getting
getting in
excited.
competition mode.
Okay.
She's like almost ready to like stand up. Like, okay, hand on the buzzer.
Okay. So you said modeling. I would say, hmm. I guess, but that's probably modeling because I was going to say like a positive attitude. You know what I mean? Like always having a positive attitude. And that doesn't mean that you're fake, right? Because we all have our bad days, but being positive and displaying that behavior, even when we have a trying time. I think that's important for
So
a
we could do
leader.
modeling, feel, not think.
I like that.
Listen. I'll take number 3 as listen.
Okay. I like that. I like listen. My husband always says we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen.
I've already got number 5. I'm just
You know what, Eric? This is because you do this all the time. Like you're catching me off guard. I'm trying to think. All right, go ahead. What's yours? What's your other one?
ask questions.
Yeah, good leaders ask questions, and that's one thing
I'm
I
looking at
really
my
strive to do.
bookshelf.
Yep. Yeah, good leaders ask questions for sure. I love that. So what did we say so far? Modeling, think, feel, not think. Listen.
Melanie's recording it as modeling positive attitude. Listen, ask good questions.
Yeah, she needs one more. What about like being present, right? Like I think sometimes, especially as adults, we tend to get, think we're thinking about the next things we need to do, and kids need to know, like, not just like that we're listening, but that we're physically there with them, like we're present and able to, put our phones down and focus on them.
So disconnect and reconnect, or disconnect to connect.
Yeah, disconnect to connect. You have so many books, like so many book titles.
You should see the list of titles. If only I could get Charlie Wetzel to live with me for a month.
Just saying, because he would have to live with you to do
Right,
even the books that we did today.
Street. I just need
Okay.
But on the disconnect to connect, so here's something funny. So I have an iWatch or whatever, an Apple Watch. Mm-hmm. And I used to think I was being really disciplined because I would leave my office and put the phone away, or like I would intentionally turn it over. And then it would buzz on my watch and I would turn and look and I could see my son shift. Like we would be so engaged and he would hear this thing go, or, he'd know it had sent something to my watch. And you could see him just sitting there looking at me like, is it me or is it the watch? Is it me or is it the watch? Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my gosh, he is that tuned in to how quickly I disconnect from him, how micro a disconnect. To me, it's like, oh, okay, that reminded me to take my, my pill or whatever. To me, it was like, no big deal. I didn't leave you. To him, I went to a completely different universe.
Yeah. And they're so in tune to that. They know what, our behaviors. For me right now, just from a parenting standpoint, I'm trying to discipline myself with the baby, right? Because it's easy to be holding him and he's not really doing anything and check in, right? And to look at the phone. And then with Christian, he's older, so he's always on his phone. So it's like, trying to find time. So we have a phone prison. It's not really called that. My husband called it something way better than that. But we, intentionally put our phones away throughout the day.
And it's critical. And I think, speaking on Christian's side, we have a generation who my son doesn't understand that phones used to be like hanging on a wall with a cord. Like he doesn't understand why we call it a mobile phone. Yeah. I mean, he understands the words. He just doesn't understand why you just don't call it a phone. But you have a generation like Christian, he thinks that's normal communication. Like you and him can have a full conversation that he feels has value and connectivity, and like was
Right.
at this level, and you and I, because of our generational gap, don't see it as an exchanging of emotions and feelings and energy.
Right.
How do you pull him back into that? No, honey, mama needs a hug in your face
Yeah.
and your stinky shoes in her house for 10
Right,
minutes.
right. Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm seeing him tomorrow because of that. So, like, yeah, it's finding ways to connect. Eric and I try to have intentional time with Christian, each of us separately. With phone calls. Um, Text messaging works some, but it's like, yeah, we need to talk. We need to hear you. We need to connect with you. We need to see you in person. So honestly, Eric, it's a day by day thing. We do our best to try to figure it out, but I do think that this is what's funny about it is that Christian did not have any technology until he was 11. I didn't let him have a gaming system. I didn't let him have, like, I was like, go outside. Like, we lived out in the middle, like out in the country. I'm like, go outside, go play. Um, you know, it was really important for him to not be on technology constantly. And when he got so this is a little crazy though. When he got a cell phone, he had a 3-page contract that I signed.
Can I
My
get a
mother,
copy?
I signed it. My mother signed it. My brother signed it, and I was like, we are all holding him accountable to this. And because that's when I started to let him stay home by himself, like get off the bus, and so I was like, all right, I'll let you have a phone. And then he got a gaming system, and he still wasn't like super into it. So yeah, but then when he got his car, he had a lease agreement too. So with me, so I tend to be a contract mom with those types of things. But as far as technology goes and communication, I think that we're all just trying to figure it out. And there's going to be a different strategy that works for everyone. But I do think being honest and transparent and telling the young person in your life what you need from them in order to connect, that they will hear you. They'll hear you.
Ooh, I think we just added a sixth one to Melanie Massey. Honesty.
Yeah, transparency. Yeah, for sure. Honesty.
Because
Yep.
it's funny because so I have two like they're hard, but they're like on my bloodline bulletin board is if my son says, "Will you promise me that we'll go to the mall or go do this or do that or promise me?" Like kids toss it out as like a safety net.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot answer. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't promise it. And he's like, but I'm like, I don't know. You may get off the bus and it may be pouring down rain. There may be tornadoes and elephants running through the kitchen. I don't know if I can follow through. And I'll always answer, to my best of ability, we will make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never want to break something that I promised.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and the other one is that same idea. It's like, okay, I'm not going to enter into an agreement with you. Like right now, we're on this. He needs a new Pokemon card book holder thing, and so we have all of these levels that he has to accomplish to buy it. I show up at 5:30 at the table where we have to do the reading assignment, and I don't call him to be there. It's like, no, your contract said you'd be here at 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
I said I would be here at 5:30 to help you. You don't show up.
Yep.
You got until 5:40. If it doesn't happen, you lose.
Yep. Yep. And that's what our kids need, right? So whether it's in our homes or in our classrooms or in our churches or in our after school programs, young people need to see adults keep their word and hold them to accountability. Too often we will set a standard, but then we won't enforce it.
Oh,
And
Gloria
what
Bird
and
just added number 7, consistency.
yeah, and
And
that's
it's
the thing.
okay to be consistent, not only in the success, but acknowledge, like, I wanted to accomplish this.
Yeah.
Here's how I failed. Here's how I'm going to correct, modify, get back on track. Because I'll tell my
Right.
kids sometimes, I'm like, honey, like we were in this huge argument, like this, he fights me on everything. I'm trying to bend my knee. I'm trying, but my foot comes up first to his back end before my knee goes down. And I was like so adamant about the direction of like, no, you're wrong, and blah, 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 and blah. And all of a sudden I hear this, honey, I told him he could. And it was like, "Ugh. I'm holding the wrong person accountable. And so I had to stop and I'm like, look, the mistake I just made was not listening to you. I apologize. And like I acknowledged what my failure was. I gave him like, Dad, next time this happens, remember, like, so if we ever get in this pattern again, here's how you're going to help me break my mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that is the important thing, is the consistency, but also the willingness to admit, I'm screwing up bad. Let's just get home and get back to bed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So we
Being
have Gloria
consistent.
still here. So you're
Yeah.
reaching out to Gloria about doing how to read a book well to children. I can just see her in her big chair and her Gloria calmness and peacefulness teaching us how to read to children.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
And,
I think
and
that'll
she's
be
got
one
a
of our
phenomenal
next
book
calls.
that's now part of the Leaders Are Readers group.
Yes, it is. Pass it on. It's a wonderful story, and it's one of those things that you're like, dang, I wish I would have thought of that, or I wish I would have had a story like that to share. But yeah, it's available on Amazon. So for those of you that don't have a copy of it yet, make sure you go and grab one.
So I know Gloria's here, but I'm going to have you give a quick summary of both the two books that are recommended to engage youth into leaders and readers, so that people can be like, okay, I don't know what book to get. Now they know two. You don't need 20. Start with Gloria's book and then drop into John's book because,
Yeah. Well, So he trusts me, so I kind of need to do that. So, yeah, Gloria Burgess is a great friend and a fellow John Maxwell team member, and she has written a book called Pass It On. And really, it's a wonderful story, beautifully illustrated. And for as a person of color, having a book that depicts a story of people of color, and it talks about literally like passing it on, like and not just passing on something physical, but also values and experiences. Um, is truly a treasure. And so you could take that book and read it to a group of young people. I'd suggest you also even gift it to some young person in your life. It's a great, great book. And again, it's available on Amazon. So for those of you that are the John Maxwell team, you can actually sign up through our Leaders, our Readers, and program through Allison Little has posted it in our various Facebook groups. And for those of you that are not a part of the John Maxwell team, but you would love a great book and a great resource to share with young people in your life, go ahead to Amazon and pick up a copy.
So, and one of the reasons I love Gloria's book is because there are populations that are often get left behind when it comes to, not everybody looks like Dick and Jane and has a dog named Spot.
Right.
And so for our kids being they're adopted, we have all families are different, or why did you pick me? And so sometimes even going into a classroom where there isn't an identified minority, an adopted kid, a disabled kid, maybe there's a book called One Dad, Two Dad, Red Dad, Blue Dad, and it talks about the different makeups of families. That sometimes it's just a mom, sometimes it's two moms, sometimes it's two dads, sometimes it's a mom and a mom and a grandma.
Yeah.
Going ahead and finding books that are really quality in that niches and speaking to an entire classroom raises their awareness that not everybody shares the same history, the same perspective, the same culture, the same identity. So that when that kid maybe shows up in the classroom, or that kid shows up on their playground in their faith group, they have a reference point to say, I'm not like you, but I met a kid through a story that seems like you. Now I'm not scared, intimidated, confused. So that's what the value of Gloria's book to this Leaders or Readers is that she identifies a population that isn't always brought to the top of the Dick and Jane list. And so, you don't have to be a person of faith or color to read it.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You don't have to be a person with a disability to explain that not all kids are the same, or adoption.
Yep.
And so John Maxwell's book, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yeah, so he actually did two versions of this. He did Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn for kids, and Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn for teens. And the teen book is more like his traditional books. I mean, it's a pretty thick but good read. The Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn for kids book is truly like a full color children's book where we talk about various lessons. Some of them are about failing. I think the word fail is a curse word to many people. It's that 4-letter word that you just not that people don't want to address, right? That they don't want to be a part of their language. But failing is something that's important, and John talks about it in there. It puts it into perspective for kids so that they understand it. And it's just an overall really good book, and a way to learn with children about what happens when you don't win. What happens when you tried your hardest but it didn't work out.
And what I want to say on that one is I know that we typically say it's up to a 4th grader-ish.
Yeah.
You could literally take that book to a group of high school students
Oh, yeah.
and just say, you know what, it's a fun little book. Let's take a minute and go back to our childhood and read it. So what I always find funny about kids is if you acknowledge the foolishness, then they're like, you're reading this a kindergarten book. But they all will sit back and be like, you know what, this feels good. This takes
and they'll
me back
listen
to a place where somebody read a book to me, and the discussion will be at an adult level. And if you're like, well, I can't read this to a 6th grader, it's not the reading, it's the discussion and the ideas that you're trying to create. So if you're like, I don't have access to a K through 6, so I can't participate in this impacting 10 kids in 10 days through one adult, say, look, I got access to a 6th grade. I'm going to call the teacher, say, yes, I'm bringing in, and maybe a little below their reading level, but this is a book that I want to use in the classroom to spark a discussion about winning and losing. They're going to be like, hey, whatever gets the conversation started, let's go for it. So don't let the cover of the book or the section that you buy it from influence the audience that uses it. Because I've used John Maxwell's Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn Kids Edition in a corporate environment, just like there's a book out there called, I think it's called Seussisms.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where they've taken all of the great lessons of Dr. Seuss and put them in little quotables. There's also a book, Christopher Robin's or Winnie the Pooh-isms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that you take a statement or a segment from one of those 2 books and it can create an hour-long dialogue.
Oh, for sure.
And part of this leaders or readers and impacting next generations isn't always about the product, but about the echo. So failure for there are so many comments. We're gonna youth of all ages love books. It's all about engagement with them, which is one of our 7 Melanie Massey coloring book principles. Disconnect to connect. So, Seussism. Mark Williams loves the idea of Seussism. Some symptoms.
Hi, Mark.
You've got, I don't know, everybody give a quick hello so I can tell Gina who's here. And if you have a quick question for her, type it in and then I'll try and read it to you as well. Anything else, JMTers and non-JMTers, people that are going to hear about this through you, through whatever, need to know about the projects you're working on.
Yeah, so the Global Youth Initiative is right around the corner. So
If you are not a member of the John Maxwell team, but you would like to partner with the John Maxwell team to impact change in your community, go to youthmax.com. Youthmax.com.
So did you hear that? I'm not a JMT, but I feel that this mission has value. I will clear the path for a JMTer to come in. And I don't even know who the JMTer is. I need to go to youthmax.com. See, I did it right.
Yay, you wore your shirt. Yay.
You have to go to youthmax.com, say, I need a JMTer, or you can probably direct message Gina and say, look, I've got this organization. I can make it available. Just tell me who I need to call. Kayleen's here. She is so far away from where you are with boys. She's got 3 of them, and they're not quite 20 yet, so...
Oh, I love being a mom of boys, though. I love it. They're fun.
I've always said boys are easier because they'll just like if they hate you, you know it.
you know it. Mm-hmm.
And by the next morning, they forgot that they said it. And
Yeah.
whereas girls will be like, you'll be like, oh, something's up. Like 2
Yeah.
months later,
What's
you'll
wrong?
find your brake lines cut. And it will be because you didn't let him go to a girlfriend's house for the afternoon.
True story. That's why I keep saying, like, I just only want boys. Only want boys. People are like, oh, but if you have a little girl, you'll love. No, I'm good. I like boys.
You've got like tons of people that, so I need to toss this in. If you're thinking of Global Youth Initiative, leaders or readers, you got to get over to Gina and the website and the Youth Max or Connect because she wants to hit her million.
Yeah, yeah. Seriously, connect with me. If you go to youthmax.com and you complete the form, like how to get connected, it comes directly to me. So I will respond to you directly and we'll figure out how to partner with you to get young people served in your community.
So I know that you have we're wrapping up here for you.
Yeah.
I know you have 2 different kids, Christian
Yeah.
and perfect little Eric. What's his middle name?
James.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So little Eric, when you were like starting to feel the pains of motherhood coming up and getting a little bit of belly, what is the one thing you sort of said to yourself, like, okay, I'm not making this mistake with the second one?
Yeah. I don't know if I said that as much as I said I'm grateful to co-parent with my husband.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I was by myself technically, but I also had my mom. I had a village to help me, but I was the only parent. So having my husband with me to co-parent is a journey in itself, but it's a wonderful one, and I'm grateful for that.
So there's a whole discussion or another book.
Yeah.
So as a mom who raised a child on her own, that can now go, I can do this. Look, my son's in college. He's an all-star athlete. He's, standing on the podium. How do you balance that feeling with, ooh, I got to make room for this husband of mine to try his parenting?
Yeah. So we were very intentional, like we waited until we were older to get married. We have God at the forefront of our lives. We were very intentional about getting pregnant and having Eric. And so there's just some space that you give to that, like that I have to be intentional about letting him co-parent, and he has to be intentional about allowing me space to say, like, yeah, well, I kind of did it this way and it did work, so it's a give and take, but it's a daily we have to work with each other.
I somehow picture that in your mind, you're like, I'm biting my tongue. It's bleeding in here. Oh, Lord Jesus, swap my tongue because I bit down hard on it. And he needs this experience as a father and a son. And they'll probably become a little bit bigger as Eric grows.
Yep.
But he needs this experience, and it's killing me because if I could just show him how not to get sprayed in the face every time you change it up. Like, trust me, I am constantly failing as a dad. I am like, when I go to bed, I'm like, Lord, just let him get through the night. Because that's the only part I'm not in charge of. And I could probably screw up their sleep as well.
And it helped too that my husband's the youngest of 8. So he's had a little bit of experience. It's not like he didn't have any experience. So he's had experience with some of it.
He's been the oldest of 8.
But he had nieces and nephews. So he has a lot. He has a lot of family. So
I think there's nothing more telling about your spouse than when you finally get kids, because it's like, what? Like, we've been together 5 years and you never said anything about this. Now that there's some little rat running around the house, suddenly this is a value, or this is an idea, or this is, well, like, I didn't know that about you. I'm always discovering things about my partner through our kids because I'm like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful journey that you guys get to share. I just want to point out something. You said with this one, as if you're future tensing that there's another one coming.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. I'm just putting it out there. People are going to be like, woo. Anyhow, I love what you're doing. I love that you gave me your time and energy today for this conversation about our youth and conversation. I love the fact that we now have a worksheet that I think is somewhere around 11 or 12 We're gonna have to let Miss Melanie Mask. Ooh, I see the pie chart and the different color and the spin the wheel of what are you as a leader, or what can I do today to impact youth? Pick one. Oh, we can make a game out of it. Have like 2 dice in the box and you have to roll one, and whatever comes up, that's what you got to focus on for the day when it comes to impacting youth. One of the characters on the wheel. I don't know. It's just craziness up in here some days. Global Youth Initiative kicks off in April. Start registering, start contacting, start walking into your churches, your faith centers, your Boy Scouts, your Girl Scouts, your Boys and Girls Club. Literally, if there's a kid in the room, there's probably a parent leading it. And having been in that environment for a long time, they're always grateful for somebody to come in and, if nothing else, distract the kids for 30 minutes. You don't have to be certified. You don't have to be credentialed. You don't have to do anything. Just show up, take the lowest seat in the room, and listen. I'm going to give her a minute. So now we're up to love conditionally. Yes. She's playing with something. She's fiddling. That's what she's doing. Are you back, dear? Oh, she can hear me, but I can't hear her. Well, anyhow, it's a great time for us to wrap up. Anyhow, I had told her we would try and stay tight to the schedule. For those of you that are sharing this out, make sure that you add a caption, add a comment, letting people know that this is not a JMT only thing. She lost sound. I think it's your headset. I think your headset is powered down. Take out your headset. Somebody type to her, turn off your headset. Anyhow, that this is not just a JMT thing. Just think of it. If one adult could impact 10 kids sometime in the next 10 days, through reading a book, through sitting down and listening, to going to the lunchroom and having lunch with a kid and just being the adult in the room that has time for them and them alone. You know, it's hard sometimes as a parent, with all of the shuffling and chaos and confusion that we do as parents, to slow down enough for our kids. And sometimes we actually take our kids for granted because we always think they're going to get off the bus tomorrow, or they'll wake up the next day and we'll have time to fix it. Be intentional with your own kids. And sometimes the best way to become intentional with your own kids is to be intentional with kids in general. It's sort of like that idea of, if you're feeling like you're lacking something, I gotcha. You're back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry, I have no idea what happened.
No worries. So I was saying sometimes when you feel lack, giving allows you to no longer feel as if you're lacking. If you feel like the universe has shut off the gate to you, making sure that you open the gate to others allows the gate behind you. When we sometimes lose that connection, that intentionality, that thing that we need with our own kids, making the circle bigger for a while allows us to get comfortable again, slowing down, being in kid mode, learning to listen and model intentionally, to be honest with our emotions. Because it's funny, because when I'm in the classroom with my daughter's teammate, I always feel like I'm more engaged with her than sometimes here at home. Because I really went into that space being intentional about being engaged versus her just running around the house being chaos.
Right.
Well, and you are in her element, right? Your home is your space, even though it's her space, but you're in her element. So she also is more open to receive you, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, she's my. I so need a day off from parenting. So as you know, she's in a wheelchair right now because she had this major leg surgery, and so her feet are like straight out, full casts. You had mentioned something similar with Christian, wasn't it? The growth plate's not up. Oh, sorry, somebody else, confused. So now what she's learned to do is when she sees me going through the house, she's learned how to turn her wheelchair in a particular way that basically it's a dead end roadblock until you deal with it. It's like, girl, I'll pick you up out of that wheelchair and sit you in the backyard and see how clever you are. But anyhow, I thank you so much. Anything closing that you want to make sure that everybody knows, needs to know, should do, whatever?
You know, I just think it's,
Don't overcomplicate serving young people. just be present. Be present and show up in every way that you can, whether it's a young person in the grocery store, somebody in your church, your neighbors across the street, you know, in your kids' lives. Just show up and be present, and they'll be forever grateful. And always remember that you wish that somebody would have said those things to you when you were a young person. So yeah, just be present.
Amen. I mean, my mistake early on in this working with kids in care was that I would walk in with such an agenda that I would dump it on top of the kid and I wouldn't see them.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And
So,
we have the best intentions, but you know, there's nothing like doing it right. And doing it right means just being humble and submitting to the one who knows how to do it right. So
oh, she got that in there. She got
yeah.
that in. You are just amazing. On
Thanks,
behalf
Eric.
of 720 youth, so 700,000? 720.
Yeah. No, 700,000. We're pretty
So
close.
on
Yeah.
behalf of 700,000 youth, I want to thank the village that allowed you to continue to pursue who you wanted to become,
Yeah.
that cleared the path for you to get the education, to gain the resources, to gain the wisdom and tools so that you could appear before us fully ready to impact 700,000. So first, let me thank that community that sacrificed, that paved the way for, I mean, think of it. Your mother paved the way for you and 700,000 kids to be impacted.
Yep. Yep.
And
And
now it's
just
going to be a million.
connected to that, and I'll say this is that the youth certification for the John Maxwell team will launch very soon, and it's a youth version of JMT, and as a blessing to my mother, I've called it World Changers because every day she tells me I'm a world changer and a history maker, and so just a full circle moment to be able to honor her in that way.
Well, tell her thank you for me.
Yeah.
Because you've impacted me, you've impacted my kids, you've impacted kids that I have influence on. You are a world changer, but more important, you're a leader that's accessible to all of us because, as you said, I received the awards, but I don't have time to stop and dust them because there's bigger things to be done.
Yeah. Yep. That's how we all need to serve. It's great to be honored. It's great to recognize other people, but at the end of the day, it's about our calling and who we're called to be.
So I guess the challenge that you're going to put out to everybody is be a path clearer, not a path blocker.
Yes,
Go
yes.
find 10 kids in the next 10 days that you can impact. Get ready for Global Youth Initiative and go big.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Eric. I've appreciated my time with you this morning. And thank you, everybody that tuned in.
Yeah, everybody give a shout out. Make a commitment throughout the comments, whether you're watching live or replay, what your commitment is to impacting youth. Because trust me, they'll impact you at the same time. This isn't about giving, this is about getting. You just need to get in the space to receive it.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later, my dear. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye, everybody. I'll see you on Monday morning. Till then, go out and be awesome.